Days without water along the sun-soaked road. We crossed over borders to get where we are, and it's all for you. It's all for you. It's all for you. It's all for you. I did it all for you. It's all for you. It's all for you. It's all for you.
Y'all, the annuals are here. Check it out. So they came in on one rolly cart, so it didn't look like too much, and then you lay them out on the ground and actually see how much like horizontal spacing you have, and it's kind of crazy. So this is where a lot of the begonias are going to be going, because this is kind of a shady bed. So you can see I have pink and white. These are bronze leaf pink and white. Really beautiful. I actually like the alternating pattern that I've got here now. So that might be something I carry around in front of these 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲. Then I have all of these sun patients that do well in sun to part sun. That could go in the center here to spread out. Really nice. So this is compact deep rose, so they stay a little smaller. And these are some that I showed you at Stock Slaggers just, the other day. And then I have some of the orchid blush, which I happened to actually order, and I forgot that I was showing you that I was so impressed with like the light color of them. So I really like those. So a lot of this stuff is going to be going in this bed, but I have all the new annuals that I showed you in the last video that I went over kind of their names exactly. And then around here, we have a lot more stuff. So this is a vinca called Periwinkle Blue Tattoo Series, I think. It's really nice color bloom there. Some Dichondra Silver Falls, which I like to put in this container here because it spills. Nice spiller plant. Dusty Miller. This is an Angelonia called Serenita Raspberry. Really nice color there. I don't think I've ever purchased these before. We have the Diamond Frost Euphorbia, which I really love to use in containers for that really ethereal airy effect that you get. This is Solar Power Black. Sweet Potato Vine, a really nice spiller too that you could either use in the landscape or in containers. This is the Blue Suede Shoes Salvia that I'm really excited about to use as centerpieces and in the landscape because it gets really big and it's a huge pollinator attractor. These are actually Proven Winners' new Eco Grande pots. Jacob at Stock Slaggers told me he was going to grow some of mine plants that I ordered last year on in these, and you tear off the little tabs here and you're supposed to be able to plant them directly in the ground. Now, I'm not sure how well they worked. I've seen Laura from Garden Answer use them before and they don't break down as good, but they are compostable, so you can throw them in the compost afterwards, which is a nice green benefit to these plants at least. So we might try putting a couple in the ground just to see how they break down, but I don't want to do all of them just in case they don't break down well. I want these plants to thrive. This is a new one for me, Summer Wave Terrenia, and I'm not sure that we've seen that around here much at all. But it was an interesting one I wanted to try out. It has really nice blue, light blue flowers here. We have Superbena Imperial Blue. Look at how deep and beautiful this color is. Tunia Vista Jazzberry. We have some cannas here that I'm going to use as centerpieces in some of the containers. This one's called Bronze Peach. Canova Bronze Peach. I really like the dark cannas. This is Snow Princess Lobularia, I think. Yes, really great container filler. It's an alyssum that you can actually plant in borders too, so that'll be a good option. Dahlia City Lights Purple, and then these are more sun patients that are a tropical or the tropical series that have the variegated leaf that I was just showing you in a video. Compact Tropical Rose. And those are going to be going under this Sweet Bay Magnolia to kind of give a nice pop of color here in the shade in the early morning sun. So I obviously have a lot to get done, and I would like to get this bed completely planted today. We'll see how that turns out. It's not mulched. I'm actually going to go take lunch and see if I can go get some mulch. So maybe I can plant and mulch this entirely today. It's a nice cool day. It's 65 right now, and this will be in the shade starting here pretty soon. It's part shade already. And I'm excited to get all these things in the ground and see what it looks like. So I'm gonna go grab some lunch and get to planting, and then I will provide y'all a little update maybe at the end of the day. I'm not gonna record this whole process because I don't know what I've got planned exactly yet. So it'll take a little bit to work out what I'm doing, but I'll definitely show you the end result. Well, y'all, I'm back, but it's the weekend, and I set very unrealistic expectations of me shooting a video after I'd been planting all day. So I spent since after lunch on Tuesday through, I did get dinner, but then I probably stayed out here planting until 8:30, a whole full day of planting. And I got a lot done. So the only plants I have left over are some of these, which I can still stick some of them in the ground. I use some more than others. So I've got some super tunias and some super 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲, this terinia also, and then a couple flats of begonias, which I still have some containers and things. I'm going to pop these in the ground. And I also have quite a bit of the Proven Winners 2024 annuals left over too. So I'm going to try and find some spots in the ground for those. I've tried to keep a lot of that planting to containers, but I do want to try them out in the ground. So to the extent there's some availability, and the problem I have where I want to put some of these annuals is there's not drip irrigation. So I need to make sure that they get good overspray because annuals are water hungry. And if I don't have drip around them or sufficient landscape water over the plants, then they're not going to be happy at all. But check it out. So it might be kind of hard to see here. The begonias are pretty easy to see because they've got blooms, but this is filled with the compact deep rose impatiens. You can see the blooms here. So I'm hoping these will grow up. They're about 12 inches apart, and it'll just kind of be a mass of pink blooms. And these are also around 12 inches apart, so they may not grow together quite as much. I've actually never grown begonias before at all, so I'll be interested to see how those bulk up throughout the season. I know they don't bulk up quite as much as these sun patients might, but still will probably be really pretty in this space. And I did alternate the pink and white. I really like how that looks. The white seems to be a little bigger, grown a little further on than the pink does, but they'll catch up here soon. Over here I did stick some of the Bermuda Beach and some of the Super 𝗟𝗏𝗏 in the ground along with some of the alyssum, Snow Princess alyssum, and I think it'll be kind of cute right here. There was nothing that I had planted in front of this, no hosta or anything, and it's out of the way of the hose, so the hose won't get dragged across it. But you could see how many of the annuals right here I have left over. We'll go over all the in-ground plantings first, and then we'll talk about some of the containers. I did a little line of begonias in front here, in front of these. These are Tough Stuff 𝗂𝗂 hydrangeas that I moved last year. I'm hoping they do much better here. They got really crispy last year because they got too much sun. So here they will just get morning sun, and I hope they bloom well for me. They're supposed to be a reblooming mountain hydrangea. I didn't get many blooms last year, but we'll see how they do. So we come around this way, a few more begonias, and then I put all of those tropical, I think this was tropical rose sun patients in here. This is where I usually put my geraniums. Oh, I also mulched all this area pretty much. So I've got the whole front yard mostly mulched. I need to do some touch up like under this tree just so it looks nicer. But I got most of the front completely done. Now this bed is kind of one of my cottagey beds, and I'm really excited about the annuals I added in here. So I did tuck in some begonias just that I had left over from part of a flat here in this corner. And then we added a few sun patients here and there. And as we roll around, there's not a whole lot more of the annuals directly right here, but they're all around the magnolia that I planted pretty much. And then I dotted some sun patients in here. So this is the orchid blush. It's the the green leafed sun patients. So we got a few of those dotted around in there. And then they're in the center of the magnolia. We had the blue suede shoes, salvia right here, city lights, purple, dahlias. So we have purple foliage, green foliage with blue blooms. I think that'll be really striking. The Angelonia kind of tucked in, also in a circle around. Some more of the sun patience, the orchid blush, kind of a little trail of them through here. More of them back there. And then I just dotted some to fill in these spaces in the border as we went down this area. So I do have a single line of 18-inch brown poly drip emitter tube that runs right in the center around this magnolia, but this bed gets a lot of sprinkler overspray from a sprinkler head that's right there and a sprinkler head that's around here somewhere. So I think these will be happy. This will be a screaming hot bed. Probably it's going to get sun for probably more than 8 hours in the day. It gets all the way to the east, and then this is south facing as well, and then until the very evening it'll be protected from the hottest part of the day, which is good. But I'm hoping I can give these enough water that they're going to be happy, and I'm really excited about how this is going to look, how many pollinators it's going to attract with the salvia here. So just really exciting. I got some few other things I probably want to tuck in here and there, as well as some perennials that I'm going to be trialing from Walter's Gardens that are arriving next week. But really excited about how this is looking right now. We still got some of the 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 that is coming up. Some of them were much slower than others. Like these right here are much more progressed than that one, for instance. So I had a hard time planting annuals, not knowing exactly where all of the 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 is, because even further behind still is this one right here that's just now poking out of the ground. So there might be some surprise 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 pop up, but that'll be okay. It's a perennial. We'll work with it. Someone was asking about this Sweet Carolina or Carolina Sweetheart Redbud. It is leafing out pretty good for me. You can see the new pinkish leaves here. I did have some dieback on the stems. I think I showed that for my Burgundy Hearts Redbud as well. So some of the stems died back completely. We'll give them a little longer before I trim those off, but it is leafing out pretty good here. Redbuds can look a little scraggly for a few years. It's just how they grow, but this one's going to be really beautiful, I think, in this location. I did tuck a few sun patience here and there along the gate. And because we can't not let the vegetable garden have a little fun, I planted some sweet potato vine on the corners here that'll spill over behind these boxwood. Tucked a few sun patience in for color. More sweet potato vine over here to spill over on the edges of each raised bed there. And now we'll move along to some of the containers, and we'll start with one back here at the back of the yard. This one I'm going to have a little bit of issues watering, I think, because it's away from a hose where I can water it more consistently. We did tuck some sun patience here in this corner as well. Forgot about the backyard. I haven't tucked as much back here. But here we have the Bermuda Beach, the Saffron Finch. These are the 2024. The Vintage Coral 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲. This is a Diamond Frost Euphorbia and a tropical canna that blooms like a coral color. And this is the James Britannia here. It's called Safari Dusk, I believe. And so I'm hoping this fills in nicely. I do have drip to it. It's not connected. I've got a product that I'm going to show y'all that I'm going to attempt to use this year to keep this planter happy, because it'll get a lot of sun and I'm afraid it'll dry out and will not be happy if I don't give it sufficient amount of water. So interesting product that I've want to trial out that the company sent out to me. That'll be in a future video, maybe sometime in the next week or so, because I need to get it up and running so I don't have to constantly baby this container. I planted some of the tropical rose sun patience around this fountain too. I think these will be really happy if we can keep the dogs off of them and not break them. And then I've randomly tucked some alyssum in the ground. I'm not sure that I put any of these in containers. All of the ones I have, I just tucked in the ground because I mentioned I'm thinking about removing these ilexes right here. This is box, what's it called? This isn't strong box. This is, might as well be called weak box because they don't do very good here. I had a viewer say I could put hollytone on them. If they do like acidic soil, they're just not going to like their conditions in my garden. We just have alkaline soil. There's no amount of hollytone I could throw on this that would make them happy, I think. The blueberries struggled in my actual in-ground garden, so these actually don't look terrible, but they've literally been here for 1.5 years and they put on almost no growth. So probably be removing these. We'll let these grow up and kind of flow into the edge here. That was the intent of having potentially these taken out. And then because I showed you this Japanese maple here is going to have to be cut back substantially, I tucked around a lot of this darker sun patience in here. So I just did a little trail around, filling any empty spots back to the garden here and kind of continuing this way. And once again, we have these ilexes right here that might get moved. And that is most of the in-ground stuff. As I mentioned, I will show you the containers right quick, and I have still a few things to put in the ground. Right now I'm struggling because some of the daffodil foliage is up, which is kind of a problem here. We get warm so fast, but we stay cool for a while, that the daffodils don't get started until a little later, and then we have just foliage for a long time through May. And so I need to like come in here. I've got some 𝗟𝗂𝗏 planted, but I need to come in here and tuck some annuals. Like this might be a good spot to put some of the begonias, just to add a pop of color in here among what's left over, because you can see the 𝗟𝗂𝗏 was from plugs that I got at a discount plant sale last year, and so I just need to tuck around this daffodil foliage and then come back later in the season and remove that daffodil foliage after it's starting to die off a little more. Now I'm really excited about these containers. I laura'd these containers. We're going to make that a verb. If you're not familiar with Laura from Garden Answer, she puts so many plants in her containers, and it's just because she has access to them, and since I had access to them, I laura'd these containers. And so there's a lot of stuff in here, but I think it's going to be so gorgeous. So we have the solar power sweet potato vine. We have the Supertunia Vista jazzberry, a diamond frost euphorbia. This is one of the new proven winners, verbenas, called cashmere pink or pink cashmere. I put some of the saffron finch yellow Supertunias in there as well, and also tucked in some Dichondra silver falls. So this will spill over, be a nice blue. We'll have the potato vine that spills over. For the black, this jazzberry will grow in the front and on each side. And then we have the canna in the center, which I didn't mention, but it is the same one I just showed in the back there. It has a coral bloom on it. So I really like how this one's looking. I love the color combinations. Doesn't look like much right now, but it'll fill out really nice. On top of that, I did these containers right here, which I think I'm going to love this year too. Really excited about these. This has almost exclusively 2024 annuals in them, except for the Diamond Frost Euphorbia. So let me take you up there and show you these a little better. So for some reason, I have a video on YouTube about these planters from 2 years ago that's going a little crazy right now. It's been watched so many times, and it has to do, I think, with how these planters are attached to this railing. So I'll just go over it real quickly, and I'll pin the video below in case you're interested. This is a product called Hold It Mate that I found 4 years ago, and it's used to attach hay racks like this to railing that has like square or round posts. So you can see it's got a little hook here, and I actually zip tie it so it doesn't fall off and doesn't move around. It's powder coated, and I have resprayed mine because as much water as it gets, particularly drip from the ferns up here, it does tend to rust. And so that's the only issue I've had with it. And it may be better now. This was a newer product, I think, when I got it several years ago. I also line these cocoa cores with a black trash bag that I have poked holes in so there's sufficient drainage. You won't even be able to tell this black trash bag is here. I've done this for the past several years and been able to reuse these cocoa core liners as a result. If you don't do that, sometimes they're a one-season liner. What you have to worry about is birds stealing this and making bedding from it. So otherwise, you can see how I've kind of lined these up here, looking really good. So we have the Red Hawk sweet potato vine. This is Bermuda Beach Supertunia. This one doesn't happen to have any blooms on it, or they just fell off and closed up. Supertunia Yellow Finch, Diamond Frost Euphorbia, new Supertunia called Hoopla, Cherry Drop Coleus. This is not a new one. This was the, what's it called? Royal Blue Superbena. So this is an older variety, but is the one like this color is incredible. So I think it'll be a nice purple added in there. And I think, did I only stick one of those in there? Maybe I did. I try to make these planters symmetrical on both sides, and so I do have another one on the other side, but I'm surprised I didn't stick one of those right here. I guess I have the 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 instead as like a purple element. But then we have more of the saffron finch, diamond frost, Bermuda beech, and red hawk. So as you go down, it's like the same towards the center almost, and the same towards this end, towards the center. And the same exact planting here, except reverse. So we have the verbena on this side and the 𝗟𝗶𝗸𝗲 on this side. And then we have this one, which is the last container I've really planted up right now. And we just have a lot of 𝗟𝗂𝗲 silver falls. Then we have some of the superbena, the new, this is cherry burst, the mini vista supertunias around, and a diamond frost euphorbia in the top. So that combination is going to be really interesting, I think, because a few years ago, I noticed someone creating like a jellyfish container, and so the 𝗟𝗂𝗲 silver falls kind of falls down and looks like tentacles, and then you have like a big, bushy, mounded set of flowers on the top, and that's kind of what I'm going for with a diamond frost on top. And then there'll be a little pink from the supertunias, the mini vistas in there that won't get too big and have smaller flowers and just be a nice accent. So I hope you enjoyed this mini tour of the containers. I'm going to be doing some more stuff like putting some begonias in like this container, removing the pansies, or maybe tucking them in the center, because these pansies are still looking pretty good, but it's going to start getting warm and the leaves are going to look a little rough. So I may just completely remove those. I'm not sure if I will add actual like more vigorous annuals in here. I do have drip to this container, or it's set up for drip. It's not actually like attached, which is something I'm going to be working on, adding drip to this area. And the pergola, like I mentioned a couple videos ago, because we're going to come up that column from around those steps right there, up this column, and then down this pillar here, probably to this container, and the same thing continue this way down to this container and this container, and then we're going to hang ferns from drip, like here in the corner, here in the corner, maybe there in the corner, but you get the idea. So I want these to also be on drip because I'm the worst about watering these. The good thing about these is they're kind of close to the hose. It does require dragging out a little bit and coming up these stairs, but if I have them on drip and I don't have to worry about it, that's a plus. So we're going to focus on that this season. I've got a couple extra containers that I put some of the hydrangeas that were sent out to me by Bailey Nurseries, and I'm going to stick them maybe in the corner here so they'll look nice. And I planted some supertunias and superbena in those as well, just to provide some pops of color up here. And those will be easy to add to drip too if I have the drip line running here. Lots of beautiful things to come, and I'm really excited to see these grow on. These are obviously, or this is obviously the most annuals I've added to my garden ever. And really excited about what this season will look like when they get up and blooming. We're getting a little bit of rain right now, which is great to water in all this stuff that I planted over the past week. So we're gonna take a little break today, I think, and then get back out tomorrow. Thanks for joining me, guys. And remember, in a world full of hate, be a light. Take care. Bye.